Good morning and good afternoon, people. And welcome to another BAIO live stream. My name is Umoja, and I'm waiting for my brothers and sisters to come and join me so we can get started. And here's the good brother. The good brother Jabari is in the building. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Just gonna give the brothers and sisters a couple minutes.
That's
Oh
all
yeah.
right with me.
Okay. I really I really want to stay on point and keep everything in accord and having people hopping in. I guess we could start, and as people hop in, they could just come into wherever we're at the time instead of going all the way back. What do you think?
That's good with me. I have no problem with that because we already started the live and we gotta like get going.
Exactly. Exactly. So let's get going.
All right.
So my name is
Oh,
Umoja, as I've said, and I am a BIL member, and I'm with my brother, and we are about to be sharing our thoughts on recruitment and strategic industries. And I'm really interested to hear your perspective on this, sir, actually. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
hi everyone. My name is Darius. On the screen, I go by Jabari, so I prefer you for you to call me that. I'm a BL member, and if you see on my avatar, I am specialized in particularly Liberia. For the first question as to what I define as a strategic industry, I
Hi
define a
everyone, my
strategic.
name is Darius. On the screen, I go by Jabari, so I prefer you for you to call me that.
I define a strategic industry as, or strategic industries as industries that are vital for the security, economic, and political survival of a country. So, and examples of political industries of strategic industries include information technology, cybersecurity, defense, agriculture, and manufacturing are considered my top five of strategic industries.
Can you say that? Can you say the top five again for me? I was trying to get my phone from making noise and interrupting the stream.
No problem. So I said my top five strategic industries are defense, agriculture, information technology, cybersecurity, and manufacturing.
Well, damn, you didn't save none for me. I
well,
think
what do you, well, then I'll get back to you then. What do you define as strategic industries and why do you consider them to be strategic industries?
um I honestly I really was racking my brain on that because like I start to think like way outside like well where is it going to be at and asking all the questions, right? But when it came down to it, I pretty much was on something similar to you. I was thinking agricultural for sure. I was thinking more of IT, so just information technology, and that includes cybersecurity. And then I was also thinking of construction because I was thinking of like not necessarily modernizing, but just like
Building up the infrastructure.
doing some updates exactly like no matter where it's at like I'm pretty sure that'd be needed like locally as well like making sure the infrastructure is solid. I, that one really hit it and that's what is and the reason why I think those are strategic is because on one hand it enhances the nation and then on the other hand it also keeps it current because you don't want to be living in the stone age you know if you don't have to so
Mhm.
so those were my two that came to my mind immediately.
For me, further elaboration on my top five industries, the reason why I chose that, I also have construction later down, but the reason why I thought of those five as the importance is number one is for agriculture, you need to be able to manufacture your own food, so grow your own food so that you can do agribusiness and then you can process them. So you can do food manufacturing, beverage manufacturing. And so that creates not only an agricultural sector, but it creates a food and beverages sector. It creates a hospitality sector, and it makes sure that you don't suffer from food insecurity. And you got to think in the worst case scenario in terms of geopolitics. And you don't want your country to be dependent on food imports, so that if a country says we're not going to trade with you, we're going to put sanctions on you, you don't have to worry about food insecurity or the possibility of famine and starvation. The second one for information technology, which also ties into cybersecurity, is important, is because we're heading towards the fourth industrial revolution. We're heading towards the digitization of our economy, and we're heading towards what is known as the technological singularity. And so being able to do information technology, computer science, programming is going to put us ahead because those who lead the artificial intelligence race, those who lead in the information technology sectors are going to dominate the 21st century. And so you need to be able to make sure that your people are technologically and digitally literate so that you're not left behind and other countries can't hack into your information systems, get any details. So that is why information technology is the second most important. And then third, more in depth with specifically cybersecurity, is you need to make sure that your systems are protected. It's not good to build up all these computer systems, build up all these, modernized infrastructure if you don't have encryptions, if you don't have protections, if you don't have cybersecurity officers. So you're going to need massive investments into cybersecurity so that if they were to wage cyber or information warfare, you have the necessary tools to prevent that from happening. You have basically protected yourself internet wise and information wise. Manufacturing to me is strategic. It's because you have to be able to manufacture. That is one of the key tenets of industrialization. So one of the ways of industrialization is modernizing is manufacturing. One of the reasons why, and this is going to go later on, but I'm just going to give a brief perception as to why the continent of Africa isn't particularly poor, is because it's not that we don't have the resources, but we're not manufacturing those resources into anything valuable. So on one hand, you have the gold, you have the copper, you have the oil, but if you're not converting that into gas, if you're not converting that into petroleum products, if you're not converting the gold and the copper into, or as we deal with bronze or iron into steel and converting that into aluminum, it doesn't really matter because you have all these resources, but they're not being manufactured, and that decreases your value. The last one is important. I consider the most important is defense. In order for the nation or in the continent to survive, you have to be able to defend your assets. You have to be able to defend your interests and to defend your homeland. And you have to keep up with the defense industry. So what's ever going on right now with the defense, what defense companies are doing, you need to be aware of that so that we know what our enemies are dealing with, what they have, and how we can match them in terms of parity. So those are my five, and that's why I just want to elaborate on those. So people just don't say, well, why did you choose those? No, these are the five strategic industries, and I've given you this specifications as to why.
My good man, that was such a good rundown. Like straight up, well done, well done. Good afternoon, Sister Salima. I know you're not feeling the best. Thank you for being here. If you talking, you're muted, sis.
Oh, I was muted. Good afternoon, my awesome brothers. I'm just trying to get my bearings back. I didn't think I guess I'm not 20 years old anymore because I did not
Man,
spring right back like I thought I would. So it has been sit down and don't do anything. The day that I got out of the hospital, I actually put my entertainment center together. I thought it was a good idea. I had time. I needed to just sit down. So I'm paying for it.
well, we will not, we will not expect you to be your normal self, and you could just chime in as you wish. There is no pressure at all. But whatever feedback you got, you can just come on in. So we've already talked about how we would describe a strategic industry. You can do that, or you could just go into the second question with us and answer. When we're thinking about strategic industries, are we thinking about the continent as a whole, or are we focusing on the nation that we intend on building? So I'll pass that off to you first, Darius, and let you keep on cooking since you was already headed there anyway. So the question again is, when we talk about strategic industries, are we talking about the continent as a whole, or as Afrikstan, our nationhood?
They apply to both, but in this particular case, you have to apply it to the Afrikstan. And the reason why is because in order for you to be a global power, first of all, you have to be a regional power. And you can't be a regional power if your nation is destabilized and you don't have these strategic industries. So in this scenario, we're applying particularly with Afrikstan, because once you've got Afrikstan with the necessary strategic industries, we can start investing into the continent's strategic industries for those countries that don't have it. This allows us to gain influence. This allows for us to gain power. And this allows for us to start to dictate policies that we want on the continent that we feel is necessary. So for me personally, we need to start with Afrikstan first so that we can build that, get that set up, and then you can start spreading, your regional influence and then your global influence, because people can look at your country as a standard, as the barrier, sorry, not as the barrier, but as the example as to what countries in Africa should look like. I was bringing up a good article that I read on Bloomberg, and one of the articles said that Africa needs its own Japan and Singapore. And that demonstrates that you need an African country that is going to spur the industrialization of other countries. But you can't do that if you don't have the country. So focusing on Afrikstan first, and this I'm supposed to be, like I said, my expertise is specifically on Liberia, focusing specifically on that one country would allow for it to spread to other countries, because now they can look to us as how we can do it. We can then go to individual countries, make investments, and create satellite communities. So first and most importantly, it is the Afrikstan.
Thank you, brother. Sister Salima, do you have anything to add to that?
I'm really just gonna listen. If I do hear something, I will chime in. But I'm not really. I'm on drugs right now, so it's not gonna be good for me to be talking. But I'm here, guys. I'm definitely here for support. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, and thank you. Yes,
Absolutely.
ma'am, and thank you. I completely agree with you, brother. Um, because like Africa as a whole is not on one accord yet, and it's yeah. So focusing on getting our thing right so that we're looked at, as a success in Africa, because what can happen is that we do all this work and then it's not seen as successful. Like no matter what happens, it's gonna be people who don't support it all the way. But if we look like a success, I think that's gonna lead to a lot of big things for the future of what we're building. And like you said, it can almost serve as a template. I don't know why. Yeah. I don't want to go off on something else, but it made me think of something completely different. So moving on, what would be the strategy for gaining the support of the locals? Because we get that a lot. You guys are like colonizers, and you guys are stuff like that. So what would be the strategy for gaining support of the locals? Because even if we do have our own spot, it ain't like it's gonna be like completely away from the whole of Africa. Like it's gonna be in some country that's already there. It's gonna be around some people who are already there, obviously. And we're gonna need the people to come help us with the work and stuff like that. So how are we gonna get the support of the locals? What's your thoughts on that?
That is a interesting question to be brought up. My response to that would simply be, it was similar to what I saw on Twitter, and this is going to be an example for what we should not be doing when we go to the continent, or just, an example of complete lack of awareness. Was I was on Twitter last night, and it was talking about this black woman who moved to Bali. She moved to Indonesia, and she was talking about how great Indonesia was, how the food was, that there was a small little black community in Bali, and that being in Bali was pretty much a game changer. And then this girl, this woman from Indonesia, she was like, that thread from that Black American woman was just so, it rubbed her the wrong way, because she's not factoring the fact that many of the locals are poor and that the government forces them into the tourism industry. She forgets that, well, it's safe for black people, but meanwhile, the Indonesian government is waging genocide against black people in West Papua, and she doesn't bring that up. So how does this deal with the locals is that you have to understand the market and understand where you're living. It's not so much moving into the country as being aware of the political, economic, and social implications of that country. So, for example, me being with Liberia, I'm aware of the economy is struggling right now. I'm aware that there was concerns that, there may be shortages of the Liberian dollar. I'm aware of the fact that many Liberians live on less than $1 a day. And that awareness understands what policies and what procedures that we need to perform when we're in that country. Because one of the things that you don't want to appear ignorant, or appear like you don't care about the locals' interests, their concerns, or their culture. And so that answers the nationhood. As long as you understand the social, economic, and political implications and situations that occur in the country, you will be fine.
Yeah, I think that the strategy for gaining support of the locals is to come in and 100% show that what we're doing is to support Africa in general. That we want to build the economy, that we want to build infrastructure, and do it in a way to where it's not saying, yeah, you guys are just so poor and you need a savior and stuff like that. Like no, 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 no. We're here so that Africa can compete, starting with where we're starting with wherever we're at, and then spreading it. Like, no, we want to come. And I think that there's a very unique benefit of African Americans in particular coming to do that because the perspective, and I'm not saying that from a like entitled space. I'm just saying that as like a point of fact. You know, because we on the outside. For instance, you Darius, you from a distance, you are 100% American. Yeah, you know, you have so much knowledge about Africa. I'm pretty sure, and I've talked to Africans back when I was on my super knowledge base study, and was like my mouth would be open when I'm talking to an Africa about where they're from and they don't even know, and I'm like, what the fuck, right? Because I didn't know a bunch of Africans back then, and I hadn't talked to a bunch of them. So I just expected them to be just super knowledgeable and literally talking about their own governments, and they didn't know. So in putting this into a context of like, no, we just want to make everything better for us. Like we just believe that we deserve to have it look like this. We believe that we can do this. And I think that people will see that we're sincere and be like, oh hell yeah, we want to see Afrikstan too. So that's how I look at it. Like we're actually coming to build, not just to selfishly take. And moving on. Now we're gonna first I want to ask, do you have anything else to say about the strategic industry? You know, because I know that we could really talk about this. It's just your intro, man. You like killed the intro straight up when you introduce which ones are yours and why. But do you have anything else to say about it before we transition to talking about recruitment for the industries and for the BIO?
I really don't have much for the strategic industries, but the strategic industries, I would say that we need to put more investment and we need to invest more human capital. It's okay that we have the money, but you have to have the human capital. And that's what we don't have. So we need to spend a lot more on getting the certifications, on getting the associates, the bachelors, and the doctorate degrees so that they have the skills for not entry level, but mid and upper level jobs, white collar jobs, and that we can start doing more research. Because one of the things that I've noticed is that in Africa, for example, Africa accounts for less than 1% of the research. So what that means is that in a lot of these strategic industries, we're not doing innovation, or we're not spending enough resources on innovation, on infrastructure, and we're not spending the necessary time to create what we need. And so for these strategic industries, we need more research, we need more investment, and we need more human capital.
Exactly. So in terms of the human capital, transitioning right to the membership question, how do we recruit to increase BAIO active membership? Just like solely BAIO membership. Thinking along that line. How do we build that human capital? What do you think is a good way?
My suggestion, and I've started reaching out since, not like I said, since my chapter is with Liberia, I'm reaching out to specifically Liberians. So I've reached out to the Liberian Association, the Liberian Community Organization of Greater Charlotte. I've reached out to both the president and the vice president. I got a response from the president, but I didn't get a response from the vice president yet. We'll wait for that to be seen. But I think the biggest thing for recruitment is that we have to appeal to them in a way that it deals with their industry so that people know that there's a place for them. Just talking about, do you want a nation of our own? That is inspiring to many, Black people, but they might ask, well, where do I fit in? What is my role? But if I were to ask, we got a BIO engineering group. We have a BAIO, healthcare group. It allows for people who are specialized in their particular fields to then connect with people who are also in their field. And then now we can start doing projects because now everybody knows their role, they have their groups, and now we can start making moves. So I feel like once we start, reaching out to people in their field and explaining to them how they can help with this cause, it's going to be, it can be a game changer. Because oftentimes when you hear in Black communities today, are we talking about upliftment? People talk about, oh, we just need to buy Black, we need to uplift the community, but nobody understands you need the pieces. A lot of these are ego driven. They're not really group
Exactly.
oriented or group driven. So you have a person that's talking, but if I were to ask them, where's your team at? Who is your social media chair? Who's your treasurer? Who's your secretary? They don't have none of this. And that just shows that the opportunities are there, but it needs to be group oriented and geared towards them, not towards your own ego. We're coming to you because we want to help you and we want you to be a part of this.
I completely agree. Barutu, we're gonna get to that. That is a great question. That is a great question. And we got one more question and then we're gonna get to that so we not too chopped up. But that is a great question. Straight up. That is an excellent question. But if we get on that, we're gonna go all off. And that's okay. But let us finish these last couple of questions that we have for the live and then we go in there. But I agree with you what you said, D. And I also think with what we all could do right now is everybody who's currently active, everybody who's in our chats, everybody who comes on our streams, everybody who's in the BAIO right now can all click a couple buttons and share the BAIO website, can share posts that specifically has BAIO website, BAIO registry in it, so that it's getting more eyes on it. Like we are in the age of technology, and it only takes a couple seconds to like something and share it. It doesn't cost a lot. And I understand that some people use a very personal, they well, most of us use our personal what do you call it? Excuse me. It's 9 o'clock where I'm at. I ain't been up that long. We use our personal social media profiles for this stuff, and some of us really do feel some kind of way about just being so public about it for some reason. I understand that. Create a fake one. Do like kids do when they hiding stuff from their parents, and make two different social media profiles and make one just to share or something. I don't know, but the more eyes get on it, the better. That's how I see it. And you kind of went into the you kind of went into the last question. What's a good approach for focused recruitment? And when I say that, I mean like doctors, lawyers, engineers, architects. And I think, and it was something that we had played with in conversation the other day, and I think it was you too, me and you. And I was like, we need to get into the door. We need to get into the door of these HBCUs. We need to get into the door of these colleges with the and the what are they called, man? What are they called? The Black
The
Student
fraternities and
Unions,
sororities.
the fraternities and sororities, and also the Black student unions, and just like quote unquote regular colleges, from community colleges to just universities that aren't well known. Get into them and get to where we can do speaking engagements. You know what I mean? Get to where we can get into the offices, get into the auditoriums, and actually talk about the BAIO and talk about the history of HBCUs. Talk about history, because what educated people like is facts, and they like details and things of that nature. And when we give it to them, that puts them in a really really sticky situation where they really have to make a choice, and really making a choice to really stay and continue to just be in a bad situation, no matter how educated you are, no matter how much money you have. All the numbers still indicate that Black people is still kind of messed up here. It ain't no kind of to it, but I'm just trying to I'm trying to be more diplomatic in my speech this morning. Plus, I'm tired.
And,
But go ahead. Were you about to say
and then
something?
to
Or
add to what Holub said, yeah, because Holub bring up a great point where he says, "As Mondo to Grogu, don't be afraid." That is such an important thing, because that's one of the biggest reasons, or one of the biggest barriers as to why I have not reached out so much, is the fear of being rejected, or the
mm-hmm,
fear of oh, people might not like it or agree
mm-hmm,
or not. But I think that even for people that don't agree with it, you still have to get out that message. It may be uncomfortable, but you have to get out that message. So you have to do the work. You have to, talk to everybody, text all of your friends, not just a few of your friends, text everyone. Like somebody said, the worst thing they could say is no. That's the worst thing they could say. So we need to stop being afraid. And then for us who are educated, I think it's not so much that it's like what I said before. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And so when we walk up to people and we're considering recruiting people, we need to kind of be very, conversational about it
Hmm.
and very
Hmm.
aspiration like. So an example would be like I write. I do a lot of writing. But when I did my speech for Liberia, I remember when I read something, I made it very question like. And that to me isn't appealing. That could be appealing to people because people realize, oh, he actually, cares about it. Like he actually cares about
Exactly.
us.
Exactly. Exactly. And that was my thing. Like I was thinking of that too. Like, and I really want to at least focus most of my communication about this, about what we want to do and what we can do, instead of just talking about the people who just don't seem to get it and don't want to get it, even though some people deserve it. Some people do deserve to be called out, and however, when it comes to specifically to BAIO, like not concepts about like what our issues are, but specifically to BAIO, I would love to see it. All of it is just focused on like what we can do and what we're gonna do and what we're currently doing, not fighting people, not the
And
BAIO.
like an
You,
example,
you know,
and another example would be like, oh my bad, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I interrupted you. I
go,
apologize for that.
sir, go ahead. You are okay. I've interrupted so many people in my life. It is totally okay for me to be interrupted. Go ahead, speak.
Right. So one of the examples, like I brought up, because I have my laptop on me right now, and one of the things that I said was, I have like this essay real quick, right? And I said it's time to go all in, and I say making the case, like basically why we should move back to Africa. And I don't like how a lot of pro-blacks like, you are subject to the white man and black people are this and that stuff, and I just disagree with that. I feel like there's a difference between saying this, I mean, saying that and saying something like this, because I have a quick paragraph. And one of the things I said was, I said, think deep within your mind and soul and ask what is the meaning of self determination and freedom. No, I'm not talking about being able to have equal opportunities or acceptance, but the ability to control your own destiny and define your own reality and identity. What is independence? Independence is the ability for one to make their own conscious decisions without the intervention and stagnation from outside forces. I look to all of you and ask each and every one of you sitting in these chairs side by side, do we want to make our own decisions and define our own reality? Do we want to be able to define our own purpose and mission within this world? Do we want to live in a society where our skin color and skin tone and color are not mired in negative stereotypes, systemic racism, and societal neglect? To all of my comrades, the answer is an unwavering yes. The truth of the matter is, freedom is not easy and it is not open. Freedom takes hard work, planning, and dedication. To all my comrades, colleagues, professionals, workers, and families, the only way this is possible is to reconsider where we are living in right now. That is just the intro of this writing that I did, and that I like to. We need to stop seeing ourselves as the lecturer. We need to start swapping. One of the ways that I have strong empathy is because I swap with people, and it's easy for me to sort of get to people. Because when I walk up to somebody, I'm gonna pretend like I'm that person that I approached, and if I'm that person that you are approaching, okay, I have to pretend like this person doesn't know anything about what I'm talking about. And I have to make it feel like it is something that they can relate to. It's something that they might be interested in. Just talking about, man, I'm tired of white supremacy. Yeah, we're all tired of white supremacy. But what is your alternative? And how does that affect the entire black demographic? How does that affect the entire, black community in a way that can resonate with them? The fact that you brought up, oh, yeah, I want to live in a society where racism is not there or negative stereotypes. I want to be able to define my own reality. That can get people into it because we're not just speaking abstract, we're speaking real life.
Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate your passion. We're gonna get into the I think we're gonna get into the questions now. Let's get into the questions and
Yeah, we
answers.
have the Q&A.
So so people shoot it. So first, Darius, let's not answer the first thing that's on the screen. One of the brothers asked, where'd you go to college and what was your major? So just quickly answer that, and then let's get into the questions about the about nationhood.
I attend North Carolina A&T State University, and my major is civil engineering.
Excellent, excellent. So the first question from Baruti, and I really appreciate the engagement from him, is one: do you want a diaspora enclave in Africa, or specific African American one? Answer that one first. Either one of you two, and then I give my thoughts.
Salima, do you want to go first, or you just want to listen?
Sounds like she just listened. Go
She's
ahead and
not
dig
here.
in.
So, okay. So for me, I'm going to say that I want primarily an African American one. And the reason is not so much that I want to exclude the African diaspora, but when we're talking about nation state, a lot of African Americans are going to look for what is specifically for them. When you look at the African diaspora, they can
I'm sorry,
go
I'm
to
just gonna
Africa.
listen. Y'all go ahead. Like I said, I'm here for moral support, but I really can't hold the conversation right now.
It's good.
You are
It's
good. Yeah, I'm
good.
about to say,
You
don't stress out about it.
Yeah, please don't, mama. Like straight up. If you feel the need to really talk, you just butt on in, and we'll understand that this is very important because you ain't said nothing. So if you feel the need to talk,
Yeah.
go ahead and just come on in, just like you just did. We ain't even gonna ask for you no more. We know you there. Go ahead and finish, D.
Yeah, so I say specifically an African American one, not so much to exclude the African diaspora, but because it's easier for Haitians, Jamaicans, and Bahamanians to identify one another. Because if you wanted to create a Haitian, enclave in Africa, all you got to do is just go to a city and wave the Haitian flag. Everybody knows that's Haiti. Everybody knows that's Jamaica. Everybody knows that's the Bahamas. But for African Americans, since you don't necessarily have a flag unless you include the Pan African or Liberian flag, we don't have an easy recognizable symbol. So that's why, to me, if we're going to go to Africa, we need to focus specifically on African Americans, because then we can bring in the Haitians and Jamaicans and just allow them to put their own flags and enclaves and merge with us. But if African Americans don't feel like they have an enclave where they can go, where people can understand them, it's going to be a problem. So that's why I say focus specifically on African Americans.
I never thought about it in terms of like, some islanders, some islanders, they have their own nation, even though colonialism and imperialism plays a huge part in it. Jamaica, Haiti, so really it's like they already have a nation to build, like really. Now when you talk about European African or African Euro, I don't even know how you identify such people. They legit on white people's land, and
Afro
Afro
Europeans.
Europeans, they legit on white folks' land. But most other people, no matter where they at, even if they in Brazil or Chile or something, they still technically have a nation that they could just fight for. That's like legit theirs. You know what I mean? Like, and so the African American experience is very unique in so many ways, right? However, I I am definitely for like a diasporan state. Honestly, like I don't know if I was just daydreaming or if it was in a dream, but out of nowhere the phrase diaspora city hit me. Like having our Afrikstan, and then all throughout Africa you have diaspora. You know what? I think I was actually watching that damn show Warrior. I think it was Mac that put me on to it. The show Warrior, that was like written, came from some old Bruce Lee writings, but so much of it, man, so much of that show is like it just reminds me of the African American experience in like so many ways, even though it's from a Chinese perspective. But they came over here for labor, was broke down, had to live in their own cities, Chinatowns, right? and then looking at how they built from that. Like, it's just so fascinating, really, really, really. And it just really annoys me that my people won't do the same thing. But it made me think about how like there's a bunch of Chinatowns in every major city, you know, and having some diaspora cities in every African country. You feel me? So something like that would be crazy dope. So that no matter where you go in Africa, you can always go and sit down. You can always go and sit down and have a diaspora city. And 9 times out of 10, it'll probably be African American ran. So yeah, I'm kind of in the middle there. Second part of the brother's question was, do you want to help an existing African nation build, or to start with a small African American city which morphs into a country? Fucking excellent question. I'll
Me
let you go first,
personally,
Andy.
all right. So for me personally, I'd rather help an existing nation build rather than a small African American city, which morphs into a country. Because when you have a small African American city, you can just basically do like a Singapore, where like you're an autonomous little city, but like you're surrounded by like this country. So like Singapore or like Monaco or San Marino, they're cities, but they're micro states. Like basically, it would be like a micro state. And I'd rather just have a country just go into an existing country because, you know, depending on like the relationships with that country that we establish, it could just be easy for us to assimilate and just become. And when we talk about assimilation integration, one of the problems that I have when people bring that up is that they make this assumption that if we assimilate into Congolese, let's say Congolese society, that we're going to become Congolese and our African American identity is going to be completely gone. No. When we assimilate into Congolese society, Congolese people are also going to adopt our customs. So Congolese identity is no longer going to be Congolese identity before, because they're going to now have our identity and culture with us. It's the same way when you look at, let's say, Haiti or the Bahamas. Even though in Haiti and the Bahamas, you have, French is spoken as the official language, you have something called Haitian Creole. Well, Haitian Creole is a combination of French, it's a combination of, Yoruba, Ewe, Twi. So even though the root of it is French, because the fact that it has those other African elements in it, it's no longer technically French. It's now something of its own. So that's why for me, I'm comfortable going into an existing nation, because eventually what it is before is not going to be what is the same afterwards.
Well, I feel the same, kind of like in reverse though. I definitely would like us to start with with some land of our own that morphs into a country. I guess you can use that phrase. I don't want to get into semantics too much. And my thing is that inevitably you will be doing both, because like we would need grids from the local government, from the country. We would need layouts of what they already have in terms of infrastructure, piping and stuff like that. So we would be working in concert with them anyway, helping them build their nation. We would be bringing plans that's bringing them jobs as well, so we would be building whatever nation that whatever country that we are on. And like you got countries in Africa that are super small that people don't even. I literally was met some brother in one of these groups from Facebook, and he was in. I can't even think of the name right now. I've never even heard of it, and it's legit a really small country, not Burundi, like smaller than that. It's
I know like
in
Equatorial Guinea, Malawi,
no,
Swaziland, Lesotho. There are a lot of small countries.
you,
Guinea-Bissau,
you know what I'm saying. So
Gambia,
this one is in Eastern though. This is right by Ethiopia, I want to say. But anyway though, so
Djibouti.
I think that's it. Yep. I think that's it. D apostrophe something something. But
Yeah, it's Djibouti. It's
but
Djibouti.
yeah. I see both of them being done though. Like it's almost impossible. It's not like somebody's just gonna say, all right, niggas, here y'all land and good luck. It's like I think we would be foolish to go in like that. But I definitely think that like both is gonna be done inevitably. But I definitely want our own. I don't want to just go into somewhere and then it's like, all right, well now we got to work with this government. Unless it's somewhere like a Rwanda that where we know it's African led, we know it's all African owned, and then we're given like our own city, and it's like, all right, yeah, this is our Chinatown, for lack of a better term, here in Rwanda. So go ahead and integrate with everybody else, but this is y'all own home right here, something like that. So yeah, but that's some great question though, excellent question. Was there any more? Holla put even if we
He
were to
said,
start.
there's actually one he brought up before.
Oh,
No,
go
he
ahead.
said, since the narrative is that African Americans and continental Africans can't work together, why not engage in mutually beneficial projects first before land acquisition? Okay, I'm really tired of this
I can't
whole
see that.
explaining of African.
Where's that at? So I can put it
It's
up
in the
there.
it's if you see where right under where Vic says,
Oh,
I
got it.
figured trolls
Got it.
like you more hollow. Yeah, that one. Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead and answer it.
So I'm tired of this whole African Americans and continental Africans can't work together. It's more of a misunderstanding, and that's due to the fact that we're not a heavy presence in either of each other's community.
Right.
So continental Africans may have a perception of African Americans, but that's because they either don't know a lot about African American history, or we don't have enough presence in African countries so that people can get a genuine perception of it. But yeah, starting with projects is definitely necessary. I think that builds trust, and it also builds, bilateral relations. It also strengthens our sphere of influence, and it also allows for us to build an alliance system. So Holup is right. We can definitely engage in mutually beneficial projects.
And see, but here's the deal though. We have to get the thing about that is that, let's say, mutual beneficial projects and stuff like helping them build airways, helping them build infrastructure, helping them build plants, helping them build dams, stuff like this. And what happens is that the diasporans, the diaspora Africans who are in position to do this, don't give two shits about what's going on in Africa. And I think that's going to be one of the most trickiest things, is getting people who are well off, because that's well off people who can just come up there like, Umoja can't just come over there and be like, all right, here I am, let's go ahead and build this energy plant. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have the resources, I don't have the knowledge, I can't do that. However, I have the heart, right? I have the heart to see, and that's what I learned early when I was doing organize. Let's do this, let's get everybody together. I realized that people really don't care, because I was like, how is little old me, man, just working, giving all the money that I can, giving all the time that I can, when I know there's people with resources. It's like the people with all the ideas and heart lack the resources, and the people with all the resources don't give a fuck. That's what it comes down to. So it's like, how do we get the people who actually are contractors to even think about doing something on Africa? And I heard about some people, and I know it's not just entirely not being done. However, like on a larger scale, and that's where going into these HBCUs, going into these colleges and talking, so that we're actually using our expertise and using our resources to build home. But see, it just gets so much deeper, because then you have to actually consider that home. You actually have to care. Simple as that. You have to give a fuck. And what we can't make people do is care. So yeah, I completely agree, because there are projects that we could be doing together. Man, we could be building apps together. There should be a literal app where it's connecting the continent with the diaspora, so we could talk to women over there, so we could talk to dudes who into the same sports as you, so we could communicate together. Like little stuff like that should be done, and I swear there is something like that actually, while I'm running my mouth about that. But anyway, that's just a great question though. That's a great question.
I'll answer that. I'll say one last thing before we go on to the next question about that. Is it's a two-tier question, or two-tier answer, my bad. The first question you have to understand is that it's not so much that they don't care, but you have to give an incentive. Hold on, give me a moment. The first thing that you have to consider is that you have to give an incentive. It's not good enough to just talk about Africa per se, but you got to give people an incentive. You have to give people a motivation as to why they should do something. There's something called extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation. You have to be able to tap into both. Most African Americans are not going to care about Africa if they feel that they're not getting any incentives to come back. You know, one of the reasons why Ghana's year of return was hyping everybody up was because it incentivized people to come when they did the marketing and they did the outreach. You saw a bunch of African Americans going to Ghana, even though Ghana was not on most people's maps and ain't nobody cared about Africa at that point. It's the incentive. Once you give that incentive, like, listen, if you're an African American and you company and you come here, we're going to subsidize you. We're going to give you land. We're going to give you access to resources. That's a motivation for them to come, as they would now have the incentive and the benefits of coming to Africa. But just talking about an abstract or a wishful thinking is not really a good approach, because that's wishful thinking. There's no interest. What do I get if I come here? Well, if you come here, you'll get access to a market of 1.2 billion people. There's a free trade agreement, so you will be able to, go across any African countries you like. You would have a single African passport. And so now it becomes an incentive. And then secondly is history. And that's why I focus more specifically on Liberia. And a lot of people are increasingly talking about that. Is because when you feel that historical connection, it now has meaning. When I bring up Liberia and I talk about how the first 10 presidents were born in America and that many of them were slaves and they were manumitted, the fact that, Maya Angelou used to stay there, Nina Simone used to stay there, that serves as a motivation. And it also serves that you have a connection here, that this is not something you're just telling me is an abstract connection, but this is a literal connection. Like, my ancestors literally came and died for this country. My ancestors literally went and got malaria to build this country. My ancestors wrote that Declaration of Independence. And so now you feel a sense of patriotism. Because we live in a country that we don't feel like it's ours. We don't understand what the concept of patriotism means. To actually be proud of a country, to actually feel proud to wave a country's flag or to represent that country in the Olympics. But once I teach you about, let's say, Liberia, for example, and I teach you all this history about the flag designed for 7 African American women, it creates that sense of patriotism and it creates that sense of duty.
I agree with you to an extent, but that's where the whole creating our own is, because I don't think that people are going to buy that Liberia is our own, no matter what evidence that you give, in a sense, because I think, and then when we
Yeah,
talk about it,
it's multifaceted, but those are the
yeah,
2 points that I bring.
of course. Then when we talk about,
But of
and they're
course,
great points.
incentives is the most important. Of course, incentives
There's
is the
great
most important.
they're great points. Like straight up, like, I understand. I'm just thinking, if I was somebody who wasn't really down with it already. And when you say incentives, and that's why it's so hard, particularly when you're talking about the African American, because if the American experience isn't incentive enough, what can you do? Like, we don't have checks to give people. We don't have $600 and $2,000 checks to give people to just come on and just like see if they believe. Like, so, like, yeah, I don't, man, with all the stuff going on, like, there's something that's going on every week that's enough, that you would think would be enough for people to be like, you know what, this ain't it. It could be, listen, our biggest mistake could be Africa. Maybe we should be telling them, hey man, it's in Brazil, it's in Cuba, it's in excuse me, it's in Guam. I bet it'll probably be more of an interest if that was the case. Straight up. Straight up, Africa in itself is a big turnoff to people, and that's something that like we can't teach, and we can't just incite racial pride into people. And it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Like we are people that know history. You know, I hear even the word history, and I'm like, okay, and what, man? Me personally, like it irritates me because usually when I hear it, it's from somebody
Yeah,
who's telling
because
us how great we are, and then don't want to do anything with that greatness. Like, yeah, you're super great, you're super wise, you're super spiritual. Well, why we ain't got shit? When we gonna use that power, all
see,
that
but
power and melody? You know what I mean?
you brought up a point. See, you brought up a point, but that's where I also said, like, talk about the incentives in a country, which is why Ghana got on the map. You have to make a distinction. And I feel like what a lot of African Americans are getting tired of is not so much our idea, but like what makes you unique. We so much there are a bunch of African Americans talking about moving to Africa right now. A bunch. We
Mm-hmm.
see it constantly. But
Mm-hmm.
what makes you unique? It's kind of like you're applying for college. There are thousands of students applying for college. But what makes you the one I should accept? Why should I give you that scholarship? And we have to start thinking about what makes the BAIO different from all these other talking heads. What is it that we give people that other companies, other groups can't give? Because once we make that distinction, we can get a niche and we can get a market. But we can't get no niche and no market if we don't figure out what makes us different from the rest of the orgs. Now we may
Exactly.
know, but the average person
Mm-hmm.
may not know that. The average person might
Mm-hmm.
think y'all just all the same. So we
Yep,
got to figure that out.
I agree. And we getting back to the recruitment piece, right? Like straight up, because and then too, I think like one of the great points that came up today came from you when you was just saying in passing, when you was like when I come and talk to people, I try to look at them from like their point of view. I like that better than saying meet people where they at, because some people need to stay where they at, but because they don't want to move from where they at. But I like just when you said their perspective, and when you think about the perspective of like, because I think like really going to campuses will be a great recruiting tool. But if you go in and talk to thinking people and people who used to organization, whether it's even just in school life, right? And then they get to asking the questions of like, okay, well, how are you guys different? Like, what are those answers going to be? And that's a whole nother live stream. I don't want to get into it. I'm really talking out loud. Damn it. I should have kept that. I should have kept that to myself to stay on topic, because I really don't want us going all off. But straight up though, how do we make it more attractive? How do we make it more attractive to just the everyday person? Here go another question from Lift Every Voice. Wait, isn't ADOS and FBA about separating from these other so-called blacks or Africans?
I'll
Um,
respond to that. I'll respond to that.
that
ADOS and
question.
FBA,
Go ahead. Go
ADOS and
ahead.
FBA is first of all, my response is FBA and ADOS. They're talking about separating from other Africans, but you're separating from yourself. ADOS don't even accept FBA because Yvette Carnell did a whole video about how FBA was pretty much a co-option of ADOS, and how, Michi S brings up how Tariq basically trademarked the name FBA. Basically, she brings that point. So ADOS and FBA, although ADOS is more organized, I give props. I have been studying. I have been doing the research on it. I got to give them credit. They are organized. ADOS is. They have teams. They've done a conference. I'll give them credit where credit is due. But at the same time, ADOS and FBA, like, they don't even see each other as things. So I don't take them too serious. And to combat the ADOS, like, I look at ADOS and see, like, okay, what are they doing so that we can develop our strategy, but also develop our counterpoints? Because one of the things they're going to bring up is to attack us, and we have to be ready on point to counter attack them, and basically say, we have all this going on. We've worked with these government leaders. We have this done. You can't say nothing about us. But that's about ADOS and FBA that you should just know.
I want to say something about them. No, I'm not gonna do them like that. Yes, they are. And I think that they're doing it like I've seen videos, random videos that people share where it's the one dude like literally talking about like you ain't African nigga, you're Nigerian nigga, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. I'm like, I don't understand the purpose. I don't understand the purpose or the point of it, honestly, of about
Wait, did
separating
he just
your huh?
wait a minute? You just said you ain't African, you Nigerian. Nigeria's in Africa.
No,
What?
no. I seen one where old boy was like talking to somebody. He was like, "Where you from? You ain't from America. You ain't from Tennessee or something. You look Jamaican, nigga. You look Nigerian. Where you really from?" And I'm like, it was just the most weirdest thing to me. I didn't get it at all.
You
Yeah.
do realize there are Jamaicans that have African American
We
ancestry.
we
Like
we
not all
we
people. You know,
know
there's a group in Trinidad called the Americans. We
we
know,
know this,
but like
but these are the
they
people
just
who
yeah.
claim that they ancestors like was first, foundation Black American, and that's not what we don't stand on that at all. We're not talking about separating from other Blacks or Africans. I don't know if that's what you was that's what you got from like our discussion, but we're not talking about separating from our
That
people. Like we're doing this because we love
mhm.
our people viciously, because we see the future of our people as very bleak if America is all that we're focused on. That's all. And we see the future of Africa is great. And that's what we think that we should be focused on, because that's where we think that our ancestors is from. And it's not anything except for racial pride on my part. And that's what I see from my colleagues as well. And and yeah, it's not, God had nothing to do with religion. We don't care about what your religion is, as long as you believe that we deserve a nation of our own. So we don't get into those wars like that. We kind of laugh at it, and that's kind of one of those things that I'm like
Mm.
trying to stay away from. Like, I don't care about ADOS or FBA. If they not down and they not down, doesn't mean I hate
And
them. Doesn't
actually,
mean I
and
don't think that they're
actually,
Black.
and actually, speaking of what I was talking about, and speaking of which, when I talk about nation and patriotism, Barudi makes up a good point, and I've said that a lot. Like, a lot of our sentiments that we share is actually a lot more common than what we think. We just don't have all the pieces together so that people can actually make the moves. But what he says is actually true. When he says the nation patriotism, which Darius says that Black people don't have towards the U.S. because it's not our country, is similarly felt among us for Blacks who are HBCU or alumni or divine non-affiliates. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, like I said, that matters, is that sense of patriotism. Like when you feel like a country is yours, or they're giving you the incentives to come to that country, you feel like it's yours. When you just are just living in a country and it excludes you, or you don't feel like that country is really trying to make you a part of that country, it basically you just see yourself as a temporary resident. Like you don't see, or a prisoner of war. You don't see yourself as actually an American. You see yourself as somebody who's tuned out of American politics. You just see yourself as just trying to survive. And for me, like I said, I'm going to be doing this tooth and nail no matter what, is keep bringing up Liberia, because, I brought up that because, in 2022, it was originally supposed to be this year, but next year, hopefully, they were trying to get all the Black fraternities and sororities, to try to come to Liberia for the commemoration of the 200-year anniversary. Because think about it. Ghana bought $2.8 billion just from the year of return. And that didn't include citizenship and land. If an African country said, like I said with Liberia, said, yo, we're gonna give y'all citizenship and y'all gonna get land. Black folks will show up on that plane so fast, it won't even be funny.
Right.
As a matter of fact, when they did the 2019 year of return, the number of Black Americans who went to Ghana increased by over 30%. Like, so it's not a matter of Black Americans don't want the connection. Like I said before, it's just the incentive and the connection. Once that happens, and because Wode Maya bring it up, I don't know if you watch Wode Maya's videos, but it was talking about how an African American doctor went over there and established a hospital. He established a 5-star hospital in Ghana that had gynecology and everything. but it was that year of return that really made it happen. And so that's why for me, although I'm sometimes pessimistic, I'm also very optimistic because the movement is there. The sentiments are there. We just got to figure out how to capture that sentiment and redirect it to where we want it to go.
Man, I can't tell you how much that I agree with that. And as you're talking, and as I keep seeing HBCU, I really do think that going to college campuses and doing speaking engagements will be an incredible tool for recruitment. Like somehow we have to get that going. Like I could actually see literally me and you sitting in the auditorium talking our shit, like and after having a bunch of people like, yeah, I want to help, because it's not a hard concept that we're talking about. It's really not anything magic or mythical. Straight up, we just need the human capital, and it could really go. It can really go. We got enough. We actually got enough. Yeah, I ain't even gonna get into it. Let me see. Now they talking about they're still talking about ADOS in here. Is there any more questions? I really appreciate the engagement. Straight up, there's some great questions. They talking about ADOS still. Talking
No,
about reparations.
I'll address the ADOS real quick. I'll address the ADOS real
Uh-oh.
quick thing. Um, ADOS now they went from being about lineage. Now they're saying they're an organization. So they went from lineage to organization. You got to adopt the ideas of what ADOS stands for to be part of ADOS. Well, if you said that ADOS is about lineage, and I kept getting in this debate, right? And I said, you said it's about lineage, and you say ADOS is a tribe or an ethnicity, right? And one of the points that I bring up to debunk their argument is, okay, well, there's an African American ethnic group in Trinidad called the Americans, and they move here to America. You say they're Trinidadians, but I have lineage in this country. No, but you're still Trinidadian. That's not how ethnicity, ethnography, and lineage works. A Nigerian person who moved to Haiti and been there for generations is still a Nigerian person. He's still a Yoruba person. That's still his tribe. That's still his lineage. It may have other factors, but it's still his lineage. So even within itself, it doesn't make sense. So I just wanted to get that out there. Any other questions y'all would like to ask us? Tell us, let us know how y'all feel about the live stream. We would love to hear y'all opinions.
Darius, I want to let you know personally, man, I appreciate you so much, brother. Straight the fuck up, like for real. I really do appreciate you. And if you, because I'm done with school. Actually, I'm done with my big portion of school, but I was going back for IT, and then it was like, yeah, but your financial aid, the way financial aid works, you're gonna have to pay for a lot of this stuff. So I had to take a break. but what was I about to say? Like, if you still in them
Well, I mean, I got my
circles,
scholarship, so I'm covered
man,
for it. I'm still
man,
covered, so I ain't got to worry about none of this.
right. I didn't went to school so dang long, man. I went because I got a master's in social work years ago. And I got some grants and stuff too, but not that many. Shit, school is expensive. But keep going
It
though, damn
is.
it.
It
But
is.
for real, you just keep going and staying focused and mashing, man. I just want to get some IT stuff up under my belt now, so I went back for cybersecurity, actually. But
We need that.
right, exactly. And but I was gonna say, if you think of some ways, man, like let's really brainstorm and see if we can do some speaking engagements and like come in from like a historical point or something like that, and then sneak in, but see, and then get to nationhood. You know what I mean? Because if we go to the deans and the presidents and say, yeah, we want to talk about niggas going to Africa in the school, they're gonna be like, yeah, no. You know what I
No,
mean?
I
So
think I do it like you have to talk about it from a sense of the Black tradition.
exactly.
So we can talk about nationhood, but we would have to merge it with, you know, Black self-determination and nationhood, or nationhood in the Black tradition, and really start morphing it into that. Just saying we want land infrastructure nationhood, no, like they're gonna be like, what? What? No, like no. But if you were to say, like, you know, nationhood in the Black tradition, and we start bringing up, you know, people who they might know, like Malcolm X, Maya Angelou, and then bringing up other people is going to be like, this is not only a history lesson, but also, an ideological one that we can do. We can hit two birds with one stone on
I
that.
like it. I would love that. Even now, we in the age of Zoom and streaming, man. We can we can reach people, man, and I think that'd be a great idea. That is a great idea. I ain't no thing to it. But let's get on to that's something that means you could talk about outside of here. It was another great question.
We have lift every voice's question that we need to get to too.
Are you looking at
She
Pan-Africanism
said, "What's your view? Yeah,
Yep.
what's your view on Pan-Africanism? Is Pan-Africanism dead? You're not part of the group, unfortunately, but I had just posted that Africa is set to release out their single passport this year. And the AFCTA, the African Free Trade Agreement, I don't know if it's AFCTA, I'm forgetting a letter, but it's the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. And basically, that allows for Africans to ship their goods wherever they want in the continent, and they're having a single African passport. We see Bobby Wine, everybody's paying attention to him and how his fight against Museveni is inspiring many Africans on the continent as well. So Pan-Africanism is not dead. They just don't want to talk about it. They love talking about Africa, but they really don't study African politics like we do. Like, I know that, for example, ECOWAS is trying to figure out a way how to get the Francophone countries in without France. I'm aware of the Southern African Development Community, which South Africa is a part of. There's a lot of Pan-Africanism going on the continent. Mm-hmm. It's just the information is not being given out there. So Pan-Africanism is not dead.
See, and D, this is why I love you so much, man. You so knowledgeable about what I'm gonna call your craft. Africa is like your craft, brother, whether you know it or not. And you're really knowledgeable on your craft, man. I really appreciate you for it. Straight up, don't go nowhere. But lift every voice. The thing about Pan-Africanism is that when you're looking at it from either a Euro, as in Europe, or an American viewpoint, it's been marketed and capitalized on to the point where like how you mentioned earlier in your chat about ADOS and FBA wanting you to pay dues all of a sudden when it's supposed to be a tribe, or it's supposed to be I don't even know, but now they getting to the point, like, give us your money just to be a part of this, right? So and similar to Pan-Africanism, you got people who start just doing book tours and speaking engagements and just talking about it with no actual plan to actually unite people and actually do something besides stand here and breaking down the historical facts about how white people are bad and black people are messed up. So that's what Pan-Africanism looks like.
That's the point. And it's also, when we talk about Pan-Africanism, nobody talks about it from a group perspective. Like I said, nobody's doing the actual organization and actual meetings. To have Pan-Africanism requires diplomatic research. Right. It's not just let's talk about what Chinese are doing in Africa. It's what is your, because one of the things that we keep talking about is unity, right? But in order to have unity, one, you have to have the pieces. You have to have all the pieces, and then you have to organize them in order for it to happen. And then most importantly, you got to have core values. These Pan-Africans talk about, unity, but you have to think about it from a perspective, even with our own nation state. If we're a secular nation and the country that's next to us is an Islamic country that believes in Sharia law, I'm not going to unify with that country, because one country says everybody has the right to worship their own religion. This other country says you got to be Muslim in our country and you got to obey by Muslim ideology and rules. That's a problem. That creates a conflict of interest. So nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about how to actually get it done. And that's why, for me, I spend so much time doing research on stuff. I like to look at context of everything, because I really look at myself as if I'm running a country, as if I am, organizing a movement. What do I need to do? Like, these black people who are telling you we need to unify, but they ain't giving you no plans. who said they was going to build the school in 2013 but ain't built it. We don't need to be listening to them. People who don't know geopolitical politics, what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on in Latin America, we don't need to be listening to you. Because if you don't know what's going on around the world, I don't need you being part of my country, because you cannot run this country. But that's where I'm gonna leave that.
I think the designation of African Center Progressives is one of the best ways to describe us as like a group, because like our hearts and minds are centered on Africa, and we're progressive, and not just in the sense, and not just in like how you think of an American political sense, but progressive in our ideas, progressive in actually looking towards a future for our people, and not just staying stuck talking about his historical facts and about how bad our situation is now. So yeah, I think that African Center Progressives would be the best way to put us, and that obviously would include Pan-Africanism in there. Um, any more questions? Any
I
more
just have
questions?
one. Yeah, I'm about to say, any more questions? If you're in the chat and you have not signed up to the website, please sign up to the website so that we can get further in contact with you guys and organize.
Let me
I have
put
not
it
seen
in
Lift
here.
Every Voice or Baruti, so please, if y'all can, please sign up to the website so that we can keep this going. Like I said, we need this website so we know how many people we have, get a census, organize, meet and greet, get to know one another. So please sign up to the website so that we can further contact. If there's any other questions, let us know. Um, if you don't have any other questions, closing remarks, um, any closing remarks? I'm still, quick side note, I'm still doing YouTube videos. I have 4 videos up right now for all the people who are watching this live stream. It's just Darius L. Like I said, Darius and just L. That's my YouTube channel. I have a couple videos out. Let me know what you guys think about that. I'm trying to get our message out even more, and I feel like the least that I could do is be a part of it and actually make the move. So please sign up. Or please subscribe, and let's all, everybody needs to be on this accord. Everybody needs to be on this accord. So
Yeah, I appreciate
yeah,
y'all. I have
Baruti, please, if there's a way that you can get in contact with me, please let me know, because I would definitely like to speak to you. Please, if there's a way that you can get in contact with me, let me know. As of right now, what I heard is that Bobby Wine won the election, but according to what Museveni did, was prior to the election, he cut off all the internet, so people couldn't get on YouTube, Instagram, WhatsApp, no internet. That was the day prior to the election. Museveni said that he's declared victory, although a lot of people are saying there's a lot of vote rigging and fraud. And we also have something to be concerned of, because Bobby Wine did say that the military did come into his home. So that is what's going on right now. I'm just really hoping that he's okay for right now, but there's still some concern that violence might pursue, because this is the deadliest election since their independence. So that's what's going on right now in Uganda. Um, So he said, please address his question. Um, Zambia, Namibia, or Botswana to start a BIO initiative. Um, I choose Namibia because it's by the coast. Botswana is a landlocked country. Um, it's richer than Namibia, but Namibia has a coastline, although there is the Kalahari Desert. So that is something you would also consider, but I would choose Namibia simply for the fact that it's a coastline. If you're talking about Botswana, just strictly rich wise, in terms of economic stability and development, Botswana would be the one. But strategically, Namibia. Zambia is a no. Zambia is an absolute no. All right. If there aren't any more questions, we can close. We can do closing remarks. Umoja, is there anything you would
Okay.
anything you guys would like to say? Yeah.
Yeah, my
That's what I said. I said
go ahead.
Oh, my bad. I just want to just hold those questions real quick. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I said, like, if you're talking about strategically, it would be Namibia. If you're talking about strictly from whether it's developed or economically feasible or more sustainable, it's Botswana. But strategically, it's more Namibia because Namibia has a coastline. Mhm. But yeah, you can go now. Good, continue.
My daughter at the door crying like a mug. I don't want to have the stream littered with
Okay.
baby cry. So you go ahead first. You go first with your
Okay,
ending.
no problem. All right. Yeah, so thank you guys all for being on this live. Make sure that you guys sign up to the website. It's only the beginning of 2021. We still have a lot more work to do. I'm going to continue to be reaching out. I'm also going to continuing to be messaging some of my friends, putting this on my Instagram story. Yeah, because subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let me guys know what you guys think so that I can better improve it, so that I can get you know, more people to look at it. Also, should we start a BIO news channel so that we can get people up to date? If so, we can do that. Yeah, we have a lot of work to do. I love being in this organization. You guys have inspired me so much. Like I said, I love every one of y'all. Everybody in this chat, appreciate what y'all do. Yeah, that's my closing remarks. I do it all for y'all. I do it for the community, and just let's continue on. Oh yeah, are we still doing a Discord tonight? Are we still doing a Discord tonight, or are we going to skip that?
Let's bring that question into a chat and into a text chat and see if we're doing that. Because I know some of the members, especially a couple of members who on the continent, actually be liking that. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, thank you. All right, but that's my closing remarks.
I just want to point out the fact that the BIO is comprised of like several different individuals. It's we all on one accord in terms of what we believe in and what we want. But you see, even on here, Darius wants to go. He would prefer to go into an already developed country and just integrate there. And I was like, no, I think we should have our own and then do that. So we don't all have the same ways of getting it, but we all want the same thing, which makes it even that much more effective. That is just not a whole bunch of people saying we just need some guns and go and shoot up something, or we just all need to vote and maybe one day it'll change. It's like, no, what we want is more. We want an even more unique group of individuals to be an organization. Like we don't, so that's why we're serious about like, no, we want doctors and engineers just as well as we want military minded folks. So come and help it build. Like straight up. Like I don't understand. Like really, the recruitment thing is something that's really got my hands itching. It's like, how can we get people to where all these projects that we talk about can actually be getting worked on? Because we can't do that with just a few people who are active. It's just not going to happen. Like we need human capital. That's what we need. We need you. And that's about it. I don't have anything else. Thanks everybody who was on here. Baruti, man, thank you for your awesome questions. Legendary Voice, thank you for coming along when you did with some questions. Thank you all the BIL members. And let's keep getting it in. All right, I ain't got nothing else. Look, I feel like I'm on the phone with somebody and we ain't saying bye.
Yeah. Y'all have a good day. Appreciate everybody. Like I said, make sure you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you guys will just click on my avatar and you should. I'll put a comment in there. Make sure you guys look at it because I give out a lot of information. So make sure you do that. Enjoy y'all week. Know that with this inauguration going on, it's gonna be hectic, but please stay safe. Enjoy yourselves out there.
And that's it. Love